There are moments when someone's behavior reveals more than words could ever express. When a person is truly emotionally invested, they give off subtle yet profound signals, indicating that you occupy their thoughts constantly. These gestures, almost instinctual actions, speak directly to our souls because they echo something far greater than the conscious mind can control. There is a silent language rooted in the unconscious that cannot be disguised, and it is precisely this language that we will uncover today. This video will open your eyes to whether you really are the center of their attention based on behavioral clues that Jung would describe as authentic projections of inner feeling. Leave a comment. I deserve to be a priority, to affirm your worth and open yourself to a conscious, genuine love. From Carl Jung's perspective, the deep feelings one person harbors for another often manifest through unconscious processes. When someone is thinking about you all the time, they're not only projecting inner images of your presence, but also revealing profound aspects of their own psyche without realizing it. Jung describes projection as the act of attributing to another person feelings, qualities, or desires that actually belong to oneself. Thus, if they display signs of constant attention, it may be a genuine manifestation of this affective projection. Another essential concept is the shadow. Oftentimes, intense desire is driven not only by what one admires, but also by what one unconsciously represses. When they demonstrate that you are all they think about, they may be grappling with a part of themselves that seeks integration, wanting to find in you what they feel is missing in their own life. Individuation, in turn, is the process by which a person becomes who they truly are, uniting conscious and unconscious in harmony. If they are genuinely focused on you, that movement may indicate that your relationship offers both of you an opportunity to grow toward wholeness, awakening the hidden side of personality that yearns to be recognized and accepted. Finally, the integration of the feminine and masculine archetypes, the anima and animus, also plays a crucial role. When someone sees you as a central element in their life, they are, on a symbolic level, seeking to complete internal aspects that resonate with their deepest essence. Understanding these signals through the lens of analytical psychology is to see beyond the obvious and appreciate how transformative the connection can be. When someone truly thinks about you all the time, that state of attention translates into behaviors that override pure rationality. Jung teaches us that the unconscious has its own ways of communicating, and one of them is how a person begins to organize their life around the object of their affection. This process is not deliberate, it is instinctive, almost as if the psyche itself is striving, through connection with another, to fill internal gaps. Constant attention reveals itself in the small things, how they remember details you didn't even notice mentioning, the way their eyes search for you in a crowd as if instinctively seeking your face. This kind of behavior reflects an emotional presence that cannot be faked. The conscious mind may try to disguise or control feelings, but the body and its gestures, governed by the unconscious, end up giving the truth away. Jung described synchronicity as those meaningful coincidences that arise when two souls are deeply connected. If you notice that in some mysterious way, they always appear at the exact moment you need them most, or send a message just as your thoughts were drifting toward them. It may not be mere coincidence. Continuous attention creates a resonance between unconscious minds, something that analytical psychology recognizes as a shared psychic energy field. Another clear indicator is their willingness to be present even without any apparent reason. They don't only seek you out during moments of leisure or convenience. They make a point of standing by your side during tough times, offering support before you even ask, showing genuine interest in your feelings and dreams. This constant presence reflects a true emotional bond that transcends social masks. These signs emerge because, on a deep level, you become an important projection of their inner world. Jung insisted that we project onto others parts of ourselves that we haven't fully recognized. Therefore, the attention they give to you can be seen as an unconscious attempt to integrate aspects of themselves manifesting through the relationship. Constant attention also implies vulnerability. The person who allows themselves to think intensely about another is, in a way, exposing themselves emotionally. It is as if the unconscious is saying, "Here is someone essential to my journey of self-knowledge." That vulnerability is a powerful sign that the bond is deeper than mere superficial attraction. However, it is crucial to watch for signs of balance. In a healthy relationship, constant attention should be accompanied by respect for individuality. When someone thinks of you all the time consciously and maturely, They value who you are without trying to mold you into an idealized image. Otherwise, you risk falling into patterns of emotional dependency, where idealization replaces true acknowledgement of the beloved person. That's why genuine attention reveals itself through celebrating your authenticity. They admire your real qualities, respect your imperfections, and encourage your growth. In that context, you are not merely someone who fills a void, you are a living presence who inspires evolution. Understanding the power of constant attention from a Jungian perspective is acknowledging that when someone shows these signs, they are connecting not only with you but also with forgotten or hidden parts of themselves. And it is in that fertile ground of authentic emotions that transformative relationships can flourish. Small gestures are the silent language of the unconscious. Often the rational mind tries to control what we express, but the body and subtle actions betray what we truly feel. When someone thinks of you constantly, it is in those small, often imperceptible signs that their true feelings manifest in pure, undeniable form. Jung taught that the unconscious communicates through symbols, images, and automatic behaviors. In a relationship, this means that the most spontaneous gestures, a quick touch, a restrained smile, a glance that finds you without apparent intention, are genuine revelations of an inner world projected outward. It's not just about words or promises. Spontaneity is where the unconscious shows where the heart truly lies. One of the strongest signs is attention to detail. When they notice subtle shifts in your mood, recognize small changes in your appearance, or remember things you mentioned only in passing, it shows that their unconscious keeps them in a state of constant perception regarding you. This type of attention is involuntary. Once the connection is established deeply, they pick up on nuances that most people miss. Another revealing gesture is spontaneous, caring touch. It's not about forced physical contact or overly planned moves, but light touches that are often almost unconscious, like tucking a strand of hair behind your ear, touching your hand while speaking, or simply standing close as if physical distance were uncomfortable. The unconscious seeks through the body that which the soul desires, proximity to the object of affection. Small acts of service also carry great meaning. When someone offers to help with something simple, carrying something heavy, solving an everyday problem, or simply making your day easier, they express love through action. Jung saw these acts as part of the integration movement, where the individual not only feels but acts on what they consider essential for their own emotional well-being. Moreover, how they share their vulnerability is a major unconscious sign of emotional connection. When someone lets you see their weaknesses, fears, and doubts without masks, they are saying, in the language of the soul, that they trust you deeply. This openness is a silent gesture of love and respect, indicating that you occupy a central place in their thoughts and feelings. Signs like nervousness, shyness, or excessive enthusiasm are also revealing. When the unconscious is exposed to the presence of the beloved, it can trigger involuntary physical reactions, a trembling voice, sweaty palms, diverted glances, or, conversely, vibrant, intense energy. Each of these reactions is a fragment of inner truth slipping past the barriers of self-control. The eyes play a fundamental role as instruments of unconscious communication. When someone looks at you deeply, seeking not just your appearance but trying to reach your essence, they express a connection that goes well beyond the surface. Jung viewed the eyes as mirrors of the soul, and in that sincere, often silent eye contact, one can perceive the intensity of what is being felt. Unconscious communication through small gestures weaves an invisible tapestry of feelings, where each action, glance, and subtle touch constructs a silent narrative of love, desire, and care. Understanding this language is like deciphering the secret book of another's soul, recognizing that the greatest truths are not always spoken aloud, but expressed through the simplicity of authentic moments. Therefore, pay attention. More than listening to words, observe gestures. More than waiting for declarations, notice attitudes. It is in the space between one gesture and another, in the silence between one word and the next, that the unconscious reveals itself, and where you can perceive whether you truly are all they think about. Idealization is a natural phenomenon at the start of deep emotional connections. When someone begins to think intensely of you, the unconscious projects onto your image not only who you are, but also what they yearn to find in themselves. Jung explains that we project onto others parts of ourselves that remain unconscious or dormant. Thus, idealization is often an attempt to fill internal gaps, to give shape to desires and dreams not yet fully integrated into consciousness. When you become the center of their world, that projection reaches profound levels. Every word you speak gains symbolic weight. Every gesture is interpreted as laden with meaning. They come to see in you not just a real person, but a mirror of their own ideals, their deepest aspirations, and often their unresolved emotional needs. This process creates a sort of enchantment in which you become an almost mythical figure within their psyche. Although idealization can be enchanting and feels natural, it also carries pitfalls. If it goes unrecognized and unbalanced, it may lead to unrealistic expectations and future disappointments. Jung warned of the danger of confusing the other with our internal images. True connection does not occur when someone matches our projections perfectly, but when we learn to love the real person with all their lights and shadows. In this context, it's important to recognize signs of healthy, mature idealization. If they place you at the center of their thoughts, yet still see and accept your imperfections with love, then idealization has been transcended and transformed into genuine admiration. In that case, the initial projective energy served as a bridge to a more conscious, integrated love. On the other hand, if the image they construct of you is so flawless that any mistake or divergence from that fantasy triggers disproportionate frustration, it's a sign they remain trapped in childish projection. In such dynamics, they relate not to who you truly are, but to an unconscious fantasy they have built. For Jung, this is a necessary step in the individuation process, recognizing and withdrawing projections in order to then encounter the real other. That they think about you all the time may indicate profound affection as well as unconscious idealization. Understanding this helps bring clarity to the relationship, preventing both of you from getting lost in illusions destined to shatter sooner or later. True love is born when two souls can see and embrace each other as they really are, not merely as they wish to be. Another important aspect is identification with the anima or animus archetype. According to Jung, the anima represents femininity in a man's psyche, and the animus represents masculinity in a woman's psyche. When a person projects their anima or animus onto another, they see them as the embodiment of everything their unconscious associates with love, understanding, strength, or inspiration. This initial projection is powerful and inevitable, but genuine growth happens when that image is recognized and integrated. Thus, when they think of you constantly and place you at the center of their world, it's essential to observe whether the relationship is evolving beyond idealization. If there is room for authenticity, recognition of imperfections, and mutual growth, then the bond can be transformative for both. Otherwise, you risk living a story where you are merely a transient symbol in their self-discovery. Being someone's center of the world is a precious gift, but also a great responsibility. It means being a mirror, a companion on the journey, and above all, staying true to yourself without succumbing to the temptation of fitting someone else's fantasy. Only then is it possible to build a relationship based on reality rather than on illusions that sooner or later dissipate like mist in the sun. When someone thinks of you constantly and expresses it through sincere gestures and attitudes, a rare opportunity arises to transform initial passion into a path of personal evolution and the construction of a conscious love. For Carl Jung, truly deep relationships exist not just for emotional satisfaction, but primarily for the development of the soul. Every meaningful encounter calls us to integrate unconscious aspects of ourselves and move toward individuation, that is, becoming who we really are. Conscious love is born when, instead of maintaining idealization and projection onto the other, we manage to see the person in their entirety, with their lights, shadows, contradictions, and mysteries. It is in this recognition of the other's otherness that the relationship strengthens, for we stop seeking perfection in the other and begin to honor the real being standing before us. Transforming passion into growth begins with mutual acceptance. When they show you they think of you all the time, and you perceive it in their gestures, attentiveness, and way of connecting with you, a powerful opening emerges for both to grow together. This growth is neither linear nor free of challenges. It demands courage to confront not only the projections we make onto each other, but also our own limitations that surface in intimate coexistence. Jung said that the meeting of two personalities is like the collision of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. In conscious love, Every conflict, every misunderstanding, and every moment of vulnerability becomes an opportunity for deepening, a chance to discover more about oneself and about the other. Rather than avoiding difficulties, the conscious couple uses them as doors to a truer, more solid relationship. Individuation within a relationship implies that both partners maintain their essence without losing their own identity in the name of us. Thinking intensely of the other does not mean annihilating oneself, but recognizing that the relationship is a mirror through which hidden parts of ourselves come to light. Thus, love ceases to be a refuge and becomes a space for maturation and expansion of consciousness. Another key point in transforming passion into growth is authentic communication. Talking about one's feelings, insecurities, and needs without fear of judgment creates an environment in which love can flourish genuinely. When, by thinking of you constantly, they show vulnerability and open space for sincere dialogue, they signal a desire to build something beyond the superficial, something that withstands time and life's storms. In conscious love, the ideal is not to seek the absence of conflict, but to develop the ability to face it with empathy and respect. Differences are viewed not as threats, but as learning opportunities. When they think of you so deeply that they recognize your true value, and not just what you represent to them, passion evolves into mature love, capable of transforming and strengthening both. This journey also involves acknowledging one's own limits. Loving consciously means knowing how to say no when necessary, preserving personal integrity even in the face of the desire to please. When both partners respect their own boundaries and those of the other, they create a safe space for love to grow without suffocating individuality. Finally, transforming passion into growth and individuation implies constantly renewing one's gaze at the other, seeing them with fresh eyes every day, recognizing changes and embracing new facets that emerge over time. When someone thinks of you continuously, and that energy is channeled toward mutual empowerment, a sacred alliance is formed in which both help each other awaken to their highest potential. In the end, conscious love is the love that frees, heals, and propels us forward. It is the fertile ground where initial passion, nurtured with authenticity, respect, and self-knowledge, blossoms into something infinitely more enduring and transformative, a communion of souls walking together toward wholeness. When someone demonstrates through small gestures and the constancy of their presence that you occupy their thoughts deeply, it is more than simple affection. It is an unconscious call to a transformative connection. In the light of Carl Jung's analytical psychology, we understand that such signs reveal not only intense feeling, but also the projection of inner aspects seeking integration and growth. Recognizing these signals, interpreting their meanings, and above all, building from them a conscious love is the key to transforming passion into individuation, idealization into genuine acceptance, and desire into the expansion of the soul. May you remain attentive to the beauty of these silent movements, welcoming them with wisdom and awareness. Deep relationships are not merely meetings of hearts, but encounters of destinies that propel us to be more authentic, more whole, and truer to ourselves. If this content resonated with you, subscribe to the channel for more reflections on relationships and self-knowledge. And take the opportunity to watch the video appearing on your screen now. It complements everything we've explored here and might be the next step on your journey of personal transformation. True love begins within us. Let's awaken together.